everybody. So before I start this video is going to be a very personal video to me, and it has been a long time coming. It has taken me a long time to be able to sit in front of a camera and talk to you guys about this. So, yeah, I'm gonna post this on my personal Facebook, so if you're watching this from my personal Facebook, hello, the secret's out. So, yeah, this is going to be a video about my experience with severe anxiety and panic attacks. I have seen, Zoella's video. She's one of my favorite girls here on YouTube, and, she suffers from the same thing, and she recently did a video answering questions about anxiety and panic attacks, and a lot of what she described is like I could not, like I didn't think anyone could understand what I go through on a daily basis. Yeah, so I guess I'll start from the beginning, which starts senior year. This was right after I turned 18. I had just gotten my first tattoo. And I was just starting my senior year. My birthday is in early September, so I have an early birthday in terms of like school year, as the school year goes. I'm trying to like organize all of my thoughts in my head so I don't miss anything. About around, I want to say Thanksgiving time. This was 2012, so Thanksgiving 2012. I started just having like those types of days where like on Thanksgiving break and stuff, or like on weekends, I would just not have the motivation to get out of bed. I would be watching movies all day long and do anything to get a laugh, or, you know, I seriously would watch like cat videos for hours on end just to get myself to laugh because I didn't want to feel sad anymore. I thought there was something seriously wrong with me, and I thought I was like ill or sick, or, you know, that I had like some sort of disease or something. So at this point I had no recollection that I had depression or anxiety or any of this. So fast forward to around Christmas-ish time, I was starting to have, I don't remember the exact like time frame of my very first panic attack, but I do remember there was one just after Christmas. If you guys don't know, those of you who follow me on YouTube, I have two older brothers that live across the country from me, and so they usually come for Christmas, and this was shortly after they left to go back to their house back in the north, because I'm originally from the Midwest. Anywho, so I was in kind of a funk because they left, and my family means the world to me. I can't even like explain to you how like tight-knit my family is, and I'm sure those of you with families that live all around the country, you can vouch for that. It's really very difficult. So I was kind of in a funk. I remember one night I was going to bed, and my mom came up to say goodnight to me, and basically I started crying, and I started like hyperventilating, feeling like my lungs were gonna close up, feeling like I couldn't breathe, and I started getting like really hot and flushed. This went on for like an hour and a half, and eventually my parents were pretty shaken up by this, so they ultimately took me to the ER, and this is where the ER was, I have nothing against ER doctors or anything like that, but they were a little kind of confused as to like what to do with me. So basically the hospital that I went to had a psych ward, or yeah, basically a psych ward. That sounds really bad. It's not like a mental institution like you see on like American Horror Story. It's nothing like that. But basically they didn't know what to do with me. So they basically thought that they would hand me off to someone who knew a little bit more about mental health and all of that jazz. So I stayed a week in a mental hospital where I had therapy every day, and we were only allowed in an area the size of an average living room with like a hallway with bedrooms, and it was a co-ed. And I don't really, that whole week, the first week that I was in a mental institution was, I keep saying that, it sounds worse than it is. So basically that week is very fuzzy for me. I don't really remember it all that much. I do remember I bonded very closely to some of the older ladies in there because I'm very much a mama's girl. My mom means the absolute world to me. My mom and I are like best friends. We have a fantastic relationship. I do have somewhat of a dependence on my mom, and so I kind of attached myself to the older women, and that will come into play a little bit later. But and they kind of took care of me and like would sit with me while I cried, and you know, they would listen to me and you know, things like that. So yeah, so flash forward a couple of weeks, maybe a month, and I started having progressively more panic attacks. My parents were starting to get really frustrated at this point. I was seeing the psychiatrist that I saw in the psych ward, which if you are, I will get to the advice part at the end of this video, but this is one piece of advice that I can give now. If you are struggling with this, find a doctor or a psychiatrist that you mesh with, and I had a lot of issues with this. The first doctor that I saw, he was very like, write a prescription and go, and we didn't like have a relationship. That sounds bad, but anyway, we just didn't mix well, and it was a long drive for us to go. So I found my current psychiatrist, who I love, and she's kind of like a therapist and a psychiatrist all in one. She does prescribe medicine, but she also talks to me and really gets to know me and encourages me, and she's one of my cheerleaders. She backs me up completely, and she just, yeah. So basically I ended up staying another week in a psych ward a month after the first one because my parents were so frustrated. And at this point my dad was getting pretty frustrated because he doesn't struggle with it head on, so he doesn't understand like mental health things, and he just thought I was being an over emotional girl, you know. So I was in another psych ward again. I was in the same psych ward again, but again I kind of attached myself to the older women, and this one I kind of remember a little bit more, but still it's situations that I kind of block out. Anyway, then this was the time where I had dropped out of high school at this point because I was missing so much school, and it was either drop out of school and get my GED, which I ended up doing, or kick my ass into high gear and still not graduate on time. So I opted to drop out of high school in February of 2013, and I got my GED in April of 2013, and yeah, I still don't know if that was the right decision, but you know, you live and learn. So then about, you know, so we had like about a year to go on. I was seeing my psychiatrist, I was taking medicine, blah, 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 blah. Then, right after Christmas this year, so 2014, my anxiety started getting worse again. And I was having more and more days where I would just like not get out of bed and all of that kind of stuff. So my mom and I started looking into residential treatment facilities. And this is where those of you who follow me on YouTube were kind of left in the dark about. I wasn't at the time ready to talk about it. So at this point I am. I feel a lot more healthy in my own skin. I actually just made a entire like post about this on my personal Facebook page. So yeah. Anyway, my mom and I found this residential treatment facility in Lamont, Illinois called Timberline Knolls, which is ironically the same town my grandma grew up in, which is very strange. And I ended up staying there for 6 weeks. And I'm not going to use any names of the people that were in TK with me because that's a very personal thing. And if I haven't gotten express permission from them to talk about them on the internet, and I feel like that's very personal to them. So I'm not going to reveal their names, but I bonded so well with some of these girls, and a lot of these girls. Basically, this resort, retreat, residential treatment facility, whatever you want to call it, was broken up into 5 lodges. It was sort of like, I was there in the middle of February during what they like to call the polar vortex, so it was freezing cold. It was kind of up in the hills. It was sort of like going to summer camp, but during the winter, and a hell of a lot harder, just emotionally. And at the time, it was really difficult for me to, this was the first time I had ever traveled by myself to a place that I didn't know with no one that I felt comfortable with initially. So it was very difficult. There was very minimal. We did have visiting hours, and my brother lived in the area, so him and his fiance would come down rather, because they would come down and visit me every weekend or every other weekend, and I had a visit from a really good family friend that's sort of like a second mother to me. Hi, Patty, if you're watching this. And it was really hard for me to not have enough contact with my mom because my therapist, basically we were all assigned a therapist when we were there, and she encouraged me. We did have like phone times and like times where we were allowed to call our families and stuff, and I talked to my best friend like almost every day when I was there, but my therapist encouraged me to not call my mom every day, which was so difficult, and those of you who were there with me understand how I remember sitting in our little, we called it the milieu, our little like living room area, crying because I couldn't talk to my mom, and because I had already talked to her that day and I wanted to tell her something or what have you. Those of you who were there with me, if any of you are watching this, love you by the way, you guys know how extremely difficult it was, and it was difficult for us all, to be honest. We all had specified groups. It was a very structured atmosphere there, and there was a little bit of tension, and I did kind of regrettably fall into some of the little drama here and there, which I do regret. It's kind of my biggest regret being there. Also, along with not trying as hard as I could have to get better, I was on a track to only be there for 4 weeks, and I ended up staying for 6, because most of the time I wouldn't have the motivation to get out of bed, and I didn't want to go to groups, and I was completely pushing to like not have therapy. And then I finally just kind of like broke down. We had a specified amount of like assignments that we had to do for our therapist, and I just broke down and like got my assignments done. Not like it was like school or anything, but they were more like I had to write a letter to my dad and things like that. Actually, this experience really helped me grieve my grandmother, my mom's mom, who died the year I moved, which was in 2007. I was 13, and she meant everything to me. So this experience at TK really helped me through mourning her. And yeah, we also had different little like activities to do like throughout the day. We had little classes, like there was an option to do yoga and like self-defense classes. Okay, sorry, my camera can only record about 15 minutes at a time, so yeah. Anyway, yeah, my favorite of those classes was the art classes. Usually we would have like a theme every day or every time we would go to art. But yeah, I loved Saturdays or Sundays, I can't remember, were like open art and you could do whatever you wanted. And I loved the days where I could wake up and go into the art studio and create whatever I wanted. It was very much in the same vein as like my makeup and things like that. That's the other thing. I wasn't allowed to have a lot of my makeup. I had to downsize a lot, and so I was kind of stifled creatively because I wasn't allowed to have because I wasn't allowed to have any mirrors or anything like that. I actually took out the mirror in one of my palettes because I wanted to take it so badly. I bonded so quickly with a lot of the girls. Like every Friday night we would have, or was it Saturday night? Now it's all blur. Like there are parts of it that stand out to me, but we would, either way, one night a week we would always have a movie night, and every Friday night there would be like someone out of the group that was leaving soon would like sit down and tell their entire story of their recovery and things like that, which is kind of what I'm doing now. I'm paraphrasing from the story that I told the day before I left, and yeah, so I made so many friends and I still talk to them. I actually had a period where I was, just how do I say this without sounding really insulting? I had a period where I wasn't going to keep in touch because I felt like they knew too much about me and I felt like they were gonna judge me and things like that. But then I realized they know so much about me. They know more about me than even some of my best friends know, and they were there for me in really, really dark moments of the 6 weeks that I had there, and I couldn't have asked for anything more. So this is the painting that my mom's friends made for me. Basically, this is like my favorite color, which is the teal in the background, and it's a heart with a little bird, because you guys know I have a bird tattoo, and wings, and the bird is apparently me. And these are all the words that they use to describe me. So, yeah. So, this is where my camera for some reason cut out. No idea why, but I guess the video just got too long. My camera was like, nope. So, yeah. I think I covered all the bases. But if you guys have any questions, let me know down in the comments. And I hope you can hear me right now because the microphone on my computer kind of sucks. But I really hope that this helped some of you and help you understand a little bit of me. And yeah, also disregard the self-tan fail in this video, don't ask. But I tried a new product and it obviously did not work because you can't even tell in this light, thank God. But yeah, if you have any questions whatsoever, let me know down in the comments. I'll answer them there, or if I get enough of them, I'll answer them in a different video. With all that said, I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Stay strong if you're going through this. It gets better, I promise you. And I love you so much. Thank you for all your support on all of my social media, and those of you who are friends with me on Facebook. Thank you so much for your complete support of me and everything that I've done, and the decisions that I've made. I love you guys all so much. Keep your head up. Stay strong. I love you. I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.